Swim Things in Blue Springs, your one-stop shop for all things swim. Pools, spas, patio furniture, swimwear, and accessories. Visit them in Blue Springs or at www.swimthings.com.
Yeah, it's awesome. Fitter and Faster is doing a great job and really getting the option to, give back to the sport, and it's supplemental. I think that's something that a lot of people also don't realize. And I say this at all of my clinics. I'm like, listen, it doesn't work like you come to a Fitter and Faster swim clinic and you leave as an Olympian. That's just not how the sport works.
So your Olympic success was not easy, as I've read. How did you mentally or physically break through to get to the podium as a Paralympian?
I would say a lot of it has to do with, honestly, like not thinking too hard about what was going on for me. Going into the 2012 games, like I was swimming a 5-event program, and 2 of the events in that program were not events I should have been swimming. I shouldn't have swam the 400. I shouldn't have swam the 2IM. As much as like that made me a rounded swimmer, it also made my better events slower. And so I think that, yes, the aerobic capacity of the 400 probably helped me swim a longer program. But if we would have taken that event out going into London, I think I would have had better medal success in London. But just the mental game of swimming at an international level is also something that I think I struggled with. And, it's something that when you go from swimming your normal swim meet in your local LSC or your local club team to basically swimming a swim meet in the Super Bowl, you kind of get to that level where you're like, wow, there's 40,000, 20,000 people cheering. It'll do something to you mentally. So I think that just finding that piece and finding out how to like harness all of those emotions and energy and figuring out how to race your race is something that you have to experience. It's not something someone can talk to you about and just be like, oh, now I get it. You have to really dance the dance. So London for me was my breakthrough meet. I won my first Paralympic medal, which evolved into 2 more. So walking away with 3 medals from the 2012 games, was awesome. It's so surreal, and having the option to have those medals for the rest of my life and to win them for Team USA was something that, is, you can't put words to. But I think that it does take that moment of breaking through that glass ceiling and realizing, to be honest, it's just a swim meet. When you take away all the cameras and the bright lights and people, you're just trying to swim your race, that you've trained so hard for. So I would say that it just takes that time and experience of doing the actual event, and as well as just understanding the mental game, was what it took for me to get through the 2012 games and to be successful in the next 4 years of my career. So it was a lot of fun, and I wouldn't trade the experience for anything, but it is something that you actually have to experience, I think, to get yourself used to all of the stimulus that's going around you.
Right. I mean, swimming is 90% mental. So it's all about how you train your brain basically into having fun, but also realizing, let's get this job done.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
I have to really tell you how motivating and inspirational you are. I mean, not just me, but I'm sure for many, many other people that know you, that see you, that watch you, that even hear your journey. What can listeners and just people in general that have challenges can take away from you or what you stand for?
I think in our sport, which is what I think is one of the hardest sports in the world, it really comes down to being able to understand that you can only get upset about the things that you can control is something that I always tell swimmers. And I have a lot of tattoos, and one of the tattoos on my left arm says "I am." And that was the mantra of the meditation I used to do as an athlete. It was the, I would say, like, just the purpose around my swimming career, because I am in control of my attitude, my performance, and my outcome, right? Like, nobody's swimming my races but me. So having that really drilled into my purpose was something that translated to me in and out of the pool. So I think that being a swimmer, and if I would have learned that at an earlier part of my career, I would say that would have made me a little more successful, right? Like, I remember like being at those swim meets where the water was really cold, or I didn't feel great, or, you know, I just didn't have that pop or like that feeling of snappy, quick, tapered race.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of coaches tell me like, "Oh, you don't have to feel good to swim fast." And it's like, okay, that's true, but it's also way better when you do feel good and swim fast. So I think that realizing that everyone was up against those same obstacles, right? Like, we all were in the same pool, so everyone had to fight the temperature, or we all had, you know, the hotel food that we were eating probably wasn't great, or, you know, whatever those things in your mind that were pulling me back, you know, just realizing that I'm in control of all of the things that I get to control. I can control how much I sleep. I can control how much I eat or don't. I can control my workouts, my attitude, you know, my racing warm up, my suits, all of those things I can control. And that's the stuff I need to be worrying about, not worrying about, am I warming up enough? Oh, I see a competitor warming up before me. Should I get in right now? And it's like just sticking to the plan, trusting the process, and really like understanding that, I think, is the biggest thing. So always realizing that you need to worry about the things that you can control, not worrying about the things you can't, and doing that inventory about what that means to you can help you be more successful.
That's really cool. I really like that tattoo idea.
No, tattoos are bad. Don't get any tattoos.
So as you have succeeded and become an elite swimmer in person, I hear you are now involved in coaching swimmers, and you've kind of mentioned that here today. So tell me how it feels to kind of give back to the sport.
Yeah, I had a very fun and I would say like successful, but also like enjoyable swimming career. And I had a very great opportunity of swimming for some phenomenal coaches, and working with the Fitter and Faster Swim Tour has been something that to me has really had that opportunity to give back all of this knowledge in my head and not have to have the swimmers go through all of the, you know, grueling workouts and different drills and of that do and don't work. And having that toolbox is what I refer to it when I coach clinics, and having that opportunity to give those tools back to swimmers is something that has been a huge passion of mine, and just paying it forward, right? Like, having a career where I got to swim for different coaches that showed me those things, I feel like it's my purpose to give them back now. And I think that going around the United States with Fitter and Faster has been something that has just been very fortunate from me as a coach, and also like learning from other swimmers. It's awesome to get paired up with some of the best clinicians in the US, and seeing other swimmers that you know, swam for other coaches, and hearing what they learned and putting that in my toolbox and taking that around to other swimmers has been a lot of fun. And seeing, you know, whether I'm doing a clinic with, you know, a swimmer that swam at Auburn, or doing a clinic with a coach like Brett Hawk that's coached Auburn, you know, picking up some of the things that they taught and adding that to my portfolio has been a lot of fun. So I would say it's just been such a great opportunity to give back this knowledge, as well as seeing kids have that moment where the light turns on and they're like, wow, that drill is awesome. And that works for me. That's just a rewarding experience for both me as a coach, as well as that athlete. So I would say just those moments are just what it's all about.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm sure they're very, very lucky to have you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Fitter and Faster is doing a great job and really getting the option to, give back to the sport, and it's supplemental. I think that's something that a lot of people also don't realize. And I say this at all of my clinics. I'm like, listen, it doesn't work like you come to a Fitter and Faster swim clinic and you leave as an Olympian. That's just not how the sport works. But I'm hoping that working through that channel and having the option to give back to the sport, as well as, maybe make a swimmer look at something a little different. Hopefully they can take those tools back to their club team, practice them, and perfect those fundamental skills that build that foundation of a swimmer, and think about, oh yeah, you know what? I know that, but now that I've looked at it a different way, I know how to make my streamlines better. Now I know how to kick with both sides of my feet, my dolphin kicks. Like, those things are really what help a swimmer open their mind to our sport, but also revisit a skill that they may have put on the back burner and make it a better attribute to their success. So
right.
It's a lot of fun, but also just very rewarding, and having that option to say like, hey, I didn't think about it that way, but now that I have, it made me that much faster. Is what it's all about.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, has your role model changed, as we kind of talked about earlier, from your younger years to now?
I would say that some of my best coaching interaction was actually from other athletes. And now that I have people that ask me questions, it's like, it's awesome to be inspiring from the disability side of this, but also, having kids like reach out on social media or reach out to Fitter and Faster and tell us about their experience has just been something that has been surreal. And having community is something that's important to me. I've met so many phenomenal athletes along my journey, and really hearing their stories inspire me. So I would say that it's just that collective community and really that sport, or that part about our sport that is something that I think is so unique. And it's swimming is an individual sport.
Oh yeah.
But you're still a part of a team. And I think that that's what really matters. And just building those relationships, like I mentioned before, is really what made me successful, as well as knowing that I have friends all around the world, and also friends all over the United States that you can call up and say like, hey, I'm in New York, or I'm in Tampa, wherever you are, and you can pick up the phone and go grab a coffee or a meal with someone that you may have trained with or raced against, is something that is what I think is so powerful about this sport. So I can't stress enough that it's not about the times you go. It's not about the medals you win. It's about the relationships you build and really the people that you meet, that is so unique about our sport, but also about all sports, that you hopefully can carry on with your life and have that power of the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, I'll never forget. We had Fred Evans on the journey here. Yeah. And one thing I'll never forget, as long as I live, I'll carry it with me forever. He says, what he tells his swimmers, or what he's told his swimmers, is that they come to swim, but they learn to live. And I really, really like that. And so I've kind of used that in my daily life, even just, anything, not even swimming related, is don't take anything for granted. Just live in the moment, learn what you can, and move on.
That's it. And it's about like the people that you get to give that back to. That's powerful. So that's awesome.
So we have one more question. I want to know what you have in store for yourself for the next 5 years.
Yeah. So I currently work at BP. I was very fortunate to work at BP as a Paralympian, but also I was sponsored by them whenever I was training and racing. So to have the option to work at a company that did so much for me before in my swimming life, as well as now working internally at a company that does so much for the world, I think is so great. And I enjoy what I do with working at BP, and I'm currently transitioning into a role at our company that is in our workplace services team, and we are making our offices more accessible for people with disabilities. So being someone at the table, having that conversation and not being afraid to push the envelope on that is something that's so important with our DE&I agenda. And living with a disability is hard enough, but also having the option to work for a phenomenal company that really understands that, and really making sure that we're setting ourselves up to have other people come into our company and have that same opportunity is something that I'm very passionate about and excited to work on that group or that part of our business. And then also working with the Fitter and Faster Swim Tours, staying involved in that community, and really, like I said, just giving back all this crazy knowledge I have to the just swimming community is something I'm passionate about, and I'll keep doing it as long as Fitter and Faster keeps asking me to. So it's just something that I love doing, and really helping out the next swimmer that's coming through the pipeline, or swimmers, is something that I'm really excited to do. So for the next 5 years, I'm hoping to keep, doing that as much as I can, and hopefully just trying to change the world.
Well, Tucker, thank you so much for coming on the journey and speaking your journey with me today. I know
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I know I appreciate it as much as some of our listeners do. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I can't wait to see what else you do in the future with this Fitter and Swimmer Faster stuff. I can't wait. And we will be watching you. And like we always say, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. We'll see you next time. Bye.